I am live. Hello, I'm live over here on YouTube and Facebook. I'm live over here on Instagram, and it is noon on a Friday, which means that it is time for Free Tarot Fridays with me, Rebecca. I am over here on Instagram at The Tarot Philosopher, over here everywhere else. On my personal Facebook, I don't even know what the URL is, and on YouTube at Clear Tarot NYC. And this is my weekly shindig where I chat a little bit about something occurring to me either in the world of tarot or in the world of tarot coaching people. And then I do a free mini reading for whoever has requested it. Sometimes you can just show up and put a question in the chat. Sometimes you can just get in touch with me, drop me a line wherever, say I've never read with you before and I want to be the free reading this week, and I will read you. I think I'm going to experiment this week with just clipping out the part of this that's the reading and putting it up later for you guys to watch. This week I'm going to be reading for Sally, who I see is here. So great. Give me a couple minutes and we'll do that. I wanted to share a thought with you guys briefly because two nice things. Last week was not super nice. This week is nicer. And two nice things that are happening is that I somehow have become a person who gets up in the morning and walks for an hour. Like I just exercise when I get up, pretty much. And also I am, after a bit of a writing dry spell, I am at least putting together a residency application with a collaborator of mine and being like, oh, right, I'm a writer, I do that. And I had this thought that I just want to throw out into the ether about, you know how with a vaccine or an inoculation, the idea is to have a little tiny bit of the thing you don't want, and that has the power to keep the thing away. And I also think that having a little tiny bit of the thing we do want is the thing we need to bring it to us. And of course, the first thought there is like, well, how can I do that? I don't have it. If I had a piece of it, I would have access to it. And I don't have it and I want it. So I can't make it come to me. And I've come to believe that this is kind of black and white thinking, where it's either I don't have it or I do have it. And also, though, on the other end of that spectrum, I think it's very popular to be like, well, you can't have the thing you want until you can really believe it and really see it. And then, of course, a reasonable person is like, but I've never had it and I don't know what it's like and I don't have it. So how can I believe it and see it? And, you know, some of it is like, let's use our imagination. What might it be like? But I think what helps us plug into that imagination or that belief is like a tiny, tiny shred of evidence. And I said a shred of evidence. I don't mean you have to have it in order to believe it. You do have to believe it in order to have it. But if I had been like, I don't know, suddenly tomorrow I'm going to become a person who's fit enough to run 5 miles, which I'm not. I probably would not have achieved that or enjoyed it. But I can already tell because I started walking for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Now I walk for an hour and I'm enjoying the feeling of becoming stronger and just moving my body at all, that I can suddenly start to be like, oh, I could see this times 100, right? How it might feel to be someone who can run. And like the door has been cracked open a little bit. That's like, I'm a little tired. So I'm not sure if that's like the greatest example in the world. But what's the other thing? Oh, right. I am over and over reminded that the cure for writer's block is writing, which sounds cruel and unusual, but it's not, because we think that writing means, first of all, turning out something brilliant, turning out something big and finished. And we don't, because of our perfectionism and our egos, want to make room for the fact that writing might be like doodling or like sitting down and writing a couple of words or a paragraph of a journal entry or like whatever it is, the shred of the thing that we want. Every single time I sit down at my piano or I play my guitar, for 2 seconds, I'm like, oh, right, this is how it feels. And the minute I remember how it feels, I'm on the road to writing songs again or creating something again, because I had that little inoculation or reverse inoculation. But because my perfectionism says, no, you can't sit down at the piano or the guitar unless you're ready to write a song or a whole thing that is great. And so I don't, you know, and then the problem persists. But if I have the shred of the something, if I just like play the chord and go, oh, right, that's how it feels in my body, to make music or to hear music, it makes me excited to play another chord. I'm not saying anything you don't know, but we always screw ourselves by thinking too large, I think. So that's my idea for the week, is like, there's something we want and we're feeling bereft without, and it feels far away and we can't even imagine it or visualize it. try to break it down to like the tiniest shred of what it might be and give yourself that shred and let it act on you as a thing that pulls you forward to the next shred, to the next shred. And that's how we build up anything or how we create anything. Anyway, segue into this week's reading, which is for Sally, who has said to me that her question is, are there spirits leading me to my real path? There have been a lot of signs lately, and I want to confirm it. And there's so much in that question. First of all, always on the path to trying to actually do the mini readings I say I'm doing and not make them long readings. So I'm going to get to it. But I'm not sure how I feel about spirits. I'm not sure spirits are part of my worldview. So I'm not sure I can speak to that. What I do think is that your spirit is pulling you in the direction of your real life. And that if we're listening to our spirit and our inner voice, that's usually the way to go. Our higher power is leading us. I understand the impulse to be like, I'm seeing signs. Are they right? I just want someone else to confirm for me, but nobody else can confirm for you whether your signs are right for you because they're only appearing as signs to you. I walk down the street and I see a bird. It's just a bird. You may walk down the street and see it, and suddenly it links to something in your brain, in your consciousness, that makes you realize what your next step should be. That's a sign. I also think that if you're recognizing them as signs, they're signs. Quick caveat there, because another question that usually comes up on the heels of this, right, is how can I tell the difference between, I feel like what you're asking is, can I trust my intuition? So broad strokes, yes. But the question that comes up a lot on the heels of that is, how can I tell whether it's my intuition or whether it's fear, or my imagination? And I think because a lot of times we don't want to get into the paranoid state where we're like, I saw something that I didn't like today, or I saw something that looked dark, and is that an omen? That's we don't want to come to the tarot like that either. Like, oh, I saw the death card and it means I'm going to die. I saw something bad, it means bad things. I think there's many versions of this, and I don't even know the right way to say it anymore. But a wisdom I have come in contact with is when we think we're getting signs or guidance, stop a minute and ask ourselves, how do we feel? Because it's likely that if the quote unquote signs are making you feel agitated and upset and like something bad is going to happen and you're going to have to do something you don't want to do, I'm not sure that's the voice of your higher power. I think that if the signs are making you feel like, I knew it, or some kind of calm, even if they're leading you to do something in your life, which is scary, we don't get to move forward without experiencing bad feelings or fear or whatever on our journey. But if they're making you feel like, ooh, that feels right, it feels like a door is opening, and there's a kind of calm sense of knowingness, I'd say, yeah. And I also think if there's urgency attached to it, not so much. But if there's strong desire attached to it, that's different. Sally says there's been lots of different signs and numbers and nothing negative. Great, I'm glad. So I think you already know that there are signs leading you towards your real path. What is your real path, right? I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's the one that feels authentic and right for you. So like I always say, this is basically the question of every single person who gets a tarot card reading, right? Am I on my right path? And that is what the tarot is good for answering. And of course, like I always say, there are no cards that say yes or no or 5 or that sign, not the other one. They're just going to say what it wants to say. I'm going to look at the pictures. I'm going to say what occurs to me, and you're going to take what you like and leave the rest. And that is my promise to you. So let's just get moving on this for Sally. Are her signs that she's seeing leading her on her real path? Let's see. I think, like I said, now I think 2 things. I think this Page of Wands is saying, absolutely, you are plugged into your intuition. You're getting a little bit of, I think of it as like an electrical jolt. We take the wand, we plug into universal intelligence. We go, ooh, wow, I'm turned on, So you're beginning a project, right? You're beginning a journey, the next phase of your growth as a person. That Page of Wands is the person at the beginning of it saying, should I trust this? And the universe, first of all, I think is sending you a collaborator. I don't think you're going to be alone in this for a while. I think this 4 of Wands is coming up to tell you that there's going to be somebody else involved who's going to help you in whatever building this new phase of life. This to me is always a card of collaboration, negotiation, good collaboration, building something peaceful. Between those 2 cards, we got this big, fat, major card, the Moon. So I just want to say extra self-care, being kind to yourself, because I think on this journey, the Moon to me is things that have been hidden coming to light, right? Things floating up from the depths of the subconscious, oh, the thing I haven't wanted to think about, that's right in front of my face, you know? So I say like be very gentle because I feel like the revelations are going to be coming kind of thick and fast, or maybe it's one big, oh my God, this is the thing I have to deal with that I've been putting off. Okay, it's time. The great thing about a major card, I always say though, is that, you know, they happen to you. We do not happen to them. You can't really control it. So it's going to happen by itself. But like I said, I do think that there is a friend or a healer or a teacher or somebody there who can do it with you, can help you process this stuff so you don't have to do it alone. Let me see what else is going on before I keep on running my mouth. Yeah, I mean, I think also strap in, you know, because I feel like the last card in your spread is the Wheel of Fortune, which to me is always like, let's always remember that life is like this. There is no plateau that we get to where we're like, my real path. Now I can just kind of sit back and relax and let it happen. Like, no, we're going to get to our real path and be like, oh shit, my real path has some like hills and valleys and like, I got to ride them, you know? So the only thing constant is change, you know? So I think the tarot overall, the big message here is to be like, yes, but there's no such thing as your real path as something that's just one thing and that's static. Like you're on it, you're feeling it. The more you can pay attention to your intuition and the more you can deal with these things that are coming up for you instead of pushing them down and saying later, the faster your growth will be and the more enjoyable this path will be. I do think we're coming up. One thing I want to look at right now is the immediate future is this big old high priestess, which is you like really, I think learning and teaching. But I mean, I think this is a woman whose first priority is her spiritual growth and her education, her soul's education, you know? So this is a very powerful time for you. If she comes to visit you, I think there's going to be a lot of time in the like, you know, we need a better, I always want to say man cave, but it's not that, but whatever your lab, your cave, your sacred space is, a lot of like purifying time to yourself, meditation, thinking of what's happening. Then you can go back to whoever this is, to your spiritual. I don't think it's a counselor. I think it's a friend, somebody who's really like on the same level as you and discuss it, but they can't do it for you. You're going to be doing it by yourself. This is a very powerful time. You've already put it in motion. We're coming out of a time where you're sort of like laying the groundwork, really thinking about things of the world, money and business, and like really making things happen. Maybe like things in business are starting out, and we're coming into a time period where it's all like the life of the soul and the spirit and the mind. So this is just a really welcome her in. Know that she's got stuff to teach you. You're going to be, like I said, the phrase that keeps coming to my mind is revelations coming thick and fast, a lot of stuff bubbling up from the intuition, lots of self-care so that you can handle it. You as you are right now. I mean, I think there's a little anxiety in the am I on the right path question. I don't know, at least in our culture, there's often a lot of like, am I doing enough? You know, and the tarot is kind of like, this is not a doing time. This is a being time. You as you are right now, putting down the swords. We're not attempting to answer questions right now. We're not attempting to fix things or do stuff. We are letting things wash over us and allowing change to occur. Again, though, I do think you have friends. Let's remember that there are friends, there are supporters around you, because this is what you're vibing to your environment is this 9 of Swords, which I call the insomnia card. This is like, I'm awake at 3 a.m. being like, but wait, I haven't solved every problem and I haven't magically gone into my past and fixed all the things I regret, which is never going to happen. You know, again, I think these 2 cards together are especially being like, stop trying to do stuff. This is not about doing. This is about being. I think this woman is not a woman who is all about like getting out there and answering questions and making stuff happen, you know? So I think it's just like, let's calm the urgency a little bit, like the urge to do things and make things happen and really start to pay attention to what is happening to you, what is happening in spite of you, you know, and learning to surf changes, because I think like you're on your path, but the path is like, there's going to be, you know, I always think of my friend who once responded to this card by saying, this is all you got for me, some ups, some downs. But that's the message of the Wheel of Fortune, is that that's what life is, some ups, some downs. It never stops. There is no static. The only thing constant is change. So I think the overall questions here are like, yes, on your real path, stop trying to do and to fix. I don't think the real path right now means making decisions, doing anything or fixing anything. I think it means being, conversing, collaborating, spending some time in meditation, finding out what your superpower is. It's going to come to you, you know, and then getting ready for this, coming out of it, I think more resilient, because, right, this is all of our lives. And this is a year in which you build resilience with which to deal with the ups and the downs and the changes. And so that's what I see today. That's the quick and dirty free reading here on the Tarot Philosopher, Clear Tarot NYC. Anytime anyone wants one of these free readings, if I haven't read for you yet, just drop me a line. I will schedule you in. Sally says, life is ups and downs totally. And thanks for the confirmation. Yes, anytime. Most of my job is confirming for people what they already know. Trade secret that maybe I shouldn't have shared. But yeah, so get in touch with me if you want to be one of the free readings. If you want one of the readings, but one of the full length readings that I do with people one-on-one, or to book me for an event or whatever, just let me know. Or you can visit my website, cleartarotnyc.com. I'm here every Friday at noon. Hi to everybody who's watching it later, and I will see you next week.